Hey everypony, Michael Evans here. Getting ready to release the next episode of Harmony and Chaos. Before I go ahead and do that, I just want to remind you guys that this episode is going to have two parts. I'm going to voice the entire episode first, and then the first 46 minutes will be part A, and then right after that uploads, I'll put part B on right after that. A quick note before I start this episode. I originally was going to have that scene that has the adult content between Amy and Chris. I've decided to cut that scene from this episode. It did not make sense to put it in this particular episode. And when you guys view this episode, you'll see why I decided to do that. It just made no sense to squeeze that in here, given what was going on in this particular episode. So without further ado, I'm going to start the episode right now. Episode 56, The Mark of Herc, Part 2, Sonic's Nightmare. A week has since passed in Equestria. It was an early Friday morning. Princess Cadence was preparing the Crystal Palace and the entire Crystal Empire for Prince Shining Armor's memorial service. In attendance for this event were all Equestrian royalty, the Harnessers of Harmony, Starlight Glimmer, Will Atkinson, and all the Mobians. The evening that would follow would be incredibly tumultuous, as tensions, accusations, and heartache would become the theme of this night, all of which will lead our heroes to question a now uncertain and unstable future. Princess Celestia's flying chariot. Princess Luna firing a piercing glance at her sister. Stop staring at me with those daggers, Luna. You have yet to answer my questions about this alicorn you fought 800 years ago, and how it ties into what we sensed the other night. Just let it go, Luna. We are heading to Prince Shining Armor's memorial service. Now is not the time to discuss this matter. Damn you, Celestia. Why is your first instinct to cover everything up? I am your sister. We rule this planet together. I think I've earned the right to know the truth, and I can't think of a better time and place other than now to discuss this matter. It's a 4-hour flight. That's plenty of time to tell me everything. Very well, Luna, if you insist. 800 years ago, an alicorn by the name of Nightshade was born a natural alicorn. However, the biggest surprise of all was coming to the realization that he was also born with a cutie mark, but not just any cutie mark. Nightshade was born with the mark of Herc. Do you know of the prophecy attached to the mark of Herc? No, I am not familiar with it. I didn't even know what it was up until 5 days ago. The mark of Herc is the symbol of the god of power, Herc himself. It has been written that 3 natural-born alicorns will bear the mark of Herc. I can assure you that these 3 alicorns exist, especially if Sonic believes that the alicorn power we sensed last week was not that of Will Atkinson. How could it be possible that all 3 alicorns currently exist? I thought you destroyed Nightshade. I defeated him. I never said I killed him. I used the elements of harmony on him, turning him to stone. My powers alone were not enough to destroy him, Luna. Princess Celestia has a tear roll down her cheek. Are you sure it was your lack of power, or was it a lack of willpower? Princess Celestia glances away from Luna and looks down at the chariot's floor. I couldn't do it, Luna. I couldn't destroy him. It was my fault he turned evil. It all started when I agreed to take Nightshade as my apprentice. I knew the risks involved taking him under my tutelage. However, early on he was an extraordinary apprentice. He had power in which was never seen before in Equestria, and most importantly, he yielded his power for the betterment of Equestria. I was so impressed by his natural power and his generous leadership that I decided to make him an official prince. I had a castle built for him, and he became the prince of the province of Europony. We kept in touch frequently, until one day I met with him at his castle. Nightshade, my former apprentice, said that he was in love with me, so much so he proposed to me. I of course said no, and told him I did not reciprocate the same feelings for him. I broke his heart and his soul, Luna. And then what happened? He went missing for 5 years. I taught him how to suppress his alicorn magic, therefore I could not sense him. It was the 5-year anniversary of the day I shattered his heart when I finally saw him again and met the monster I had created. He tried one last time to win my heart, and again, even more convincingly this time, I rejected him. I had no warning when he assaulted me. The guards came rushing up to my chamber to help me, but like me, they were no match against Nightshade's unbelievable power. My chamber very quickly became a slaughterhouse. Nightshade's slaughterhouse. I did the only thing I could do, Luna. While he was distracted murdering the guards, I used my telekinetic magic to retrieve the elements of harmony. Nightshade never saw it coming, and was turned to stone, and has been for the last 800 years. It sounds to me like this has eaten you up for the last 800 years. Did part of you actually love Nightshade? No, it hurts because he was once a friend and my apprentice. He legitimately loved me, and I broke his heart. It was my actions that led Nightshade to go down the dark path he went. You can't blame yourself, my sister. You were only being honest with him when you rejected his love. He chose to go down the dark path himself. Nightshade is only part of my fears. There is more to the prophecy of the Mark of Herc. The prophecy says there will be 3 alicorns bearing the Mark of Herc. We know Nightshade is the first. His descendant, Will Atkinson, is the second. And if what Sonic said is true, and the unknown alicorn power we sensed last week wasn't Will Atkinson, then I fear this unknown alicorn is the 3rd alicorn bearing the Mark of Herc. I remember you mentioning this at Sweet Apple Acres last week when we sensed it. What's the significance behind it? The Mark of Herc is made up of 3 triangles touching each other. Together, they form a 4th triangle in the center. The 3 alicorns who possess the Mark of Herc each have unimaginable power. However, together, they form the triad of power. Each alicorn is one of those 3 triangles, and together they form the 4th one in the middle. If they combine their powers, they will become of one entity, and with that union will come Equestria's destruction. The triad of power will control land, air, and sea. They can create catastrophic storms, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, and tsunamis. They also would have complete control of the sun and the moon. That is why I was so stricken with fear when I sensed this unknown alicorn power last week. If what Sonic said is true, and he sensed this power on Mobius as a child, then it means the triad of power can fulfill their prophecy. But they can't, Celestia. Nightshade is still encased in stone, thanks to the elements of harmony. His power won't be able to be used to complete this triad of power. The other 2 alicorns would have to use the elements of harmony to set Nightshade free. As far as we know, that's indeed the case. Sonic sensing this power as a child is frightening to me. How is it possible that he sensed this power on Mobius? Well, you'll have your chance to ask him about it tonight when you see him. The Crystal Empire, the Crystal Palace. Everyone and every pony is gathering in the ballroom. It looks like we're getting ready to begin. Sonic? Yeah, what is it, Dash? Who's Sonia? What? You've been having nightmares ever since the night you sensed that power. And every night you keep saying her name. Who is she, Sonic? Who's Sonia? Dash, I'm not answering that question right now. Sonic begins walking away. Were you in love with her? Hey, don't walk away from me, Sonic. We're not doing this here. I promise I'll tell you everything you need to know, but I'm not doing that right this second. Shining Armor's memorial service is starting in a couple of minutes. All right, I'll wait until we're in the privacy of our own room tonight to discuss it. I'm just worried about you, Sonic, because these nightmares you've been having about her are so intense that you wake up in a cold sweat, screaming her name and barely able to breathe. I haven't asked you about it until now, but please promise me we'll talk about her tonight. I'm scared for you, that's all. Sonic gives a faint smile as he kisses Rainbow Dash's forehead. You don't have anything to worry about, Dashy. I promise I'll tell you everything you need to know tonight. Loud trumpets announce that Shining Armor's memorial service is about to begin. Princess Celestia and Princess Luna enter and stand at the front of the room. Princess Twilight Sparkle enters with her parents, her mother Twilight Velvet and her father Nightlight. They stand next to Princesses Celestia and Luna. After a few moments, Princess Celestia walks up to the address podium and addresses all the patrons who have attended Prince Shining Armor's memorial service. Hello, and good evening, every pony. It's unfortunate that we have gathered this evening to pay our last respects to Prince Shining Armor, whose unexpected death has broken the hearts of the Crystal Empire and the whole kingdom of Equestria as well. Prince Shining Armor was a magnificent ruler over his 5-year reign over the Crystal Empire. He was always a brave warrior, and yet the purest example of a beacon of peace we had here in Equestria. For the last 5 years, Prince Shining Armor, along with his beautiful wife, Princess Cadence, have brought this great empire back to prosperity, restoring hope to this once broken and cursed kingdom. Tonight, we remember and honor Prince Shining Armor and pay homage to him as he lost his life to King Sombra. At this time, Princess Twilight Sparkle would like to share with all of you the story of who her brother, Prince Shining Armor, really was. Princess Celestia steps away from the podium as Princess Twilight Sparkle walks towards the podium. Princess Twilight Sparkle and Princess Celestia come together in a friendly embrace. I am so sorry, Twilight. I wish we could have done more. Twilight somberly answers back. That is a regret that will haunt me for the rest of my life, too, Your Majesty. Twilight takes her place at the podium. Thank you, Princess Celestia, and thank all of you who have come here this evening to celebrate my brother, Prince Shining Armor. Many a pony have known my brother to be a brave and loyal guard of Canterlot Castle. Many of you have known him as a prince, the co-ruler of the Crystal Empire. Like all of you, I respected him and knew him for the contributions he made to not only the Kingdom of Equestria, but where we stand right now, the Crystal Empire. An empire that disappeared off the face of this planet for a millennia. Once King Sombra's curse was lifted, the Crystal Empire returned, and my brother, along with his wife, Princess Cadence, took on the responsibility of bringing this kingdom back to the prominence it had before King Sombra destroyed it 1,000 years ago. Yes, like all of you, I viewed my brother as a brave warrior and a generous prince who was destined to be a great ruler. However, what separates us is the fact that I had the honor to know him as a brother. Like everything else he's ever done, he's excelled at being the best brother a sister could ever ask for. He was always there for me, to guide me, to love me, to inspire me to be better than I ever could have imagined I could be. I remember when I was crowned the Princess of Friendship, my brother embracing me in tears, telling me how proud he was and that he'd always be there if I needed him for guidance. My brother's biggest achievement wasn't becoming part of the royalty or ruling over the Crystal Empire. He always told me his greatest achievement was falling in love and marrying Princess Amori Cadenza, who we all know and love as Cadence. And together they shared the best achievement of all, the gift of starting a family. My brother left a piece of himself here with all of us, a piece so powerful that not even King Sombra could take that away from him. Prince Shining Armor's legacy remains, and it's with the love he shared with his wife, Princess Cadence, and the beautiful life they created when Princess Flurryheart was born and crystallized a princess. The greatest thing I ever learned from my brother is to never lose hope, and even though he's gone, hope still exists for the Crystal Empire and for all of us. Hope lives in love, and it lives through the family he created, the family that's blood, and through every single pony who loved and believed in him as a friend, a brother in arms, a leader, and most of all for the generous stallion he truly was. My brother, I am so sorry I wasn't here to protect you, as you have protected me all these years. I love you, Shining Armor, and I will always watch over Cadence and Flurry Heart for you and protect your legacy. Her sister-in-law, Princess Cadence, walks over to console her. They share a sisterly embrace before separating. Princess Twilight Sparkle returns to her crying parents as Princess Cadence steps up to the podium. I have to agree with everything my best friend and sister-in-law, Princess Twilight Sparkle, just said. Most of Equestria knew my husband because of the time he spent serving as a royal guard at Canterlot Castle, or how great of a prince he became. Like Princess Twilight, I was fortunate enough to experience what it meant to be loved by him. I remember so vividly the first time I laid my eyes upon him, looking over at Twilight. You're smiling, Twilight. She probably doesn't want me to recollect this moment, but it defines who he really was. Twilight was probably no older than 6. Her and Shining Armor were walking together. Twilight's eyes were glued to a book that she was telekinetically holding in front of her. Shining Armor kept looking back, slowing at times, so Twilight could catch up. She was so enthralled in that book of hers, she didn't notice the crack in those old Canterlot streets. She tripped and hurt her hoof pretty bad. Shining Armor, being the loving brother he was, quickly rushed over, dried her tears, using his magic to clean out her scrapes. Like him, I was worried about our young Princess Twilight Sparkle, so I trotted over to see if they needed any help. He couldn't believe that the Princess of Love had come over to lend a hoof. Looking back at it now, I laugh at how nervous he was around me, but it was in that moment that I saw how big of a heart he had. I walked them to the doctor's office, and the entire time we walked, Shining Armor carried Twilight with his magic. From that moment on, I fell in love with him, and the rest became history. A history that was too short. When King Sombra completed his resurrection through Shining Armor, and I was face to face with him, I felt defeated, heartbroken, and I lost hope. Twilight said something tonight that resonated inside of me, and has brought back some of the hope I have lost. The greatest thing Shining Armor ever did was love me and our daughter Flurry Heart, and that his legacy lives on through us, through our love. That truly was something King Sombra or no pony will ever take away. I am still heartbroken and scared to rule the Crystal Empire alone, but I no longer feel defeated or overwhelmed by the responsibility I now inherit. It's in this moment that I now realize it's my responsibility to carry on Shining Armor's vision, his legacy for restoring hope, love, and prosperity back to the Crystal Ponies of the Crystal Empire. The Crystal Ponies begin a thunderous applause as Princess Cadence steps back from the podium. Princess Luna to Celestia. That was a highly political statement. She's royalty, Luna, and rules over the Crystal Empire alone now. She must put up a tough facade for the Crystal Ponies. After everything they just went through with King Sombra, they need her to be strong. This is what she needed to do during this turbulent time for her kingdom. Meanwhile, Twilight is in tears. Twilight's parents notice and walk over to her. Twilight Velvet embraces her daughter, Princess Twilight Sparkle. It's my fault, Mother. The one time he needed me, and I failed him. Oh, Twily, it's not your fault. No pony, not even Princess Celestia, sensed that King Sombra was resurrecting himself through Shining Armor. He came to me months ago, right before I performed Rainbow Dash in Sonic's wedding ceremony. Shining Armor and Cadence came to me and admitted that Shining Armor was going through personality changes. Cadence told me that Shining Armor was literally turning into King Sombra, and I did nothing but cast a spirit spell to cleanse him. I thought that maybe Sombra's spirit was possessing him, but I had no idea Sombra latched onto Shining Armor's soul, his life force, and was resurrecting himself. By the time I had realized what was really going on, it was too late to use the elements of harmony to cleanse Shining Armor of King Sombra. Twilight, your mother is right. I'm just thankful that King Sombra didn't take you away from us as well. My heart is shattered. I killed him. I killed King Sombra. I killed my brother. Twilight breaks down. You did what you had to do to save Equestria, Twilight. The pony you killed was King Sombra. He was no longer your brother once the resurrection was complete. Shining Armor's body, mind, and soul was completely transformed into King Sombra. Our Shining Armor died the moment King Sombra's resurrection was complete. Your father and I don't blame you for anything that happened. We love you, Twilight. We almost lost both of you to that tyrant. Shadow and Spike walk over. Are you all right, Twilight? Spike wraps himself around Twilight. No, it's all finally hitting me of what happened, and it's breaking my heart. She's blaming herself for everything that happened to Shining Armor, and she feels guilty that she killed King Sombra because it was Shining Armor's body that she destroyed. It may have been Shining Armor's body, Twilight, but you know from everything you went through that it was truly King Sombra resurrected. Spike is right, Twilight. Shining Armor was completely gone. I know logically it doesn't seem like it because we know what's really happened. You were the only one who could stop King Sombra, Twilight. I know it hurts because he used your brother's body to resurrect himself. But you know as well as I do that was not Shining Armor you destroyed. Twilight wipes her tears away with her wing. Thanks, Spike. Thanks, Shadow. I love you both so much. I'm actually glad you came over, Shadow. You finally get to meet my parents. Mom, Dad, this is my boyfriend. Well, he's actually the love of my life. This is Shadow. Twilight Velvet hugs Shadow. It's an honor to finally meet you. Twilight has told us all about you and how happy you've made her. Nightlight embraces Shadow. Thank you for saving my Twilight from King Sombra's spell. I love her so much. Words truly can't describe the depths of love that I have for her. It's true, Grandpa. Shadow's love for Twilight was the only thing that brought Twilight back from the spell that King Sombra had her under. Twilight smiles slightly and is blushing. Oh, Twilight, I've never seen you blush like this before. Twilight smiles a little more brightly. I'm pretty smitten over that, Hedgehog. You never gave up on me, Shadow. You never gave up on us. You fought for me, and you brought me back, Shadow. The love we share is truly powerful, and it's unbreakable. Shadow gently takes Twilight into his loving embrace, and gently kisses her on the lips. No matter how powerful King Sombra was, he wasn't strong enough to break the love we have for each other, Twilight. I love you more than I ever could have imagined. Twilight and Shadow hold each other as Twilight lovingly nuzzles him underneath the chin. Meanwhile, is anybody else a bit taken aback by Princess Cadence's speech? Now that she mentioned it, her speech did seem more about politics than it did about her relationship with Shining Armor. She had to give the impression she's in control of her kingdom now that Shining Armor is gone. The Crystal Pony's morale is down following King Sombra's takeover here. Princess Cadence is merely trying to reassure her subjects that everything is going to be fine. Let's hope so, considering we still don't have any concrete answers as to who was responsible for the power surge Sonic and Princess Celestia sensed a week ago. Speaking of which, bro, did you ever figure out how that power feels familiar to you? No, I'm still trying to figure it all out. Well, I'm glad we were able to unify the 7 Chaos Emeralds with the Master Emerald before this mysterious power was able to get their hands or hooves on them. I find it strange that the power we sensed a week ago hasn't resurfaced again. If it makes you feel any better, Sonic, I haven't sensed it either. And what about your nightmares, Sonic? Have they stopped? Unfortunately not. I've been having them every night since I felt that power surge. Well, Sugar Cube, you are part alicorn. Sometimes nightmares are really premonition dreams. Alicorns and very powerful unicorns like Starlight are known to have them. I don't think these are glimpses of the future. Let's be honest, I'm still trying to learn how to use my alicorn abilities. These nightmares are nothing more than a really traumatic experience I had as a child. Really, bro? You were there too, Manic. My nightmares are about Sonia. I still have those nightmares too, bro. You were overpowered by that other hedgehog, Sonic. We tried to save her. We did the best we could do.
Who's Sonia? I've been asking Sonic that question all week. He's kept me up a couple of times this week screaming her name during his nightmares.
Well, since we're all here, I may as well tell you guys about her. Sonia is our twin sister. We're actually triplets.
What?
Oh my. It's true.
What happened to her, guys?
She was taken by a hedgehog who had unbelievable powers. I'll never forget his eyes and his silver and green hair and quills. Manic and I did everything we could have done to try to save her, but we were kids and we were no match for him. He was able to take Manic and I out of the fight. I could only watch as he ripped open a portal with his power, taking Sonia with him. Yeah, that was one of the worst moments of our lives. It had to be like 15 years ago. Sonic and I haven't seen Sonia or that other hedgehog since. Manic starts crying. Pinkie Pie wraps him in a loving hug to console him.
I am so sorry, Manic.
What I wouldn't give to get my hands on that hedgehog now.
I'm not so sure about that, Sonic. You may be much stronger now than when we fought him as kids, but that dude's power was sick. Why would this guy take your sister?
He said Sonia was special and he needed her powers.
Sonia, even as a child, possessed extraordinary powers.
She learned at an early age how to channel her alicorn magic. For some strange reason, tapping into her alicorn capabilities came easy and natural to her, even as a child. I'm just now learning the stuff Sonia made look easy as kids.
Sonic, do you think it was Sonia's power you sensed the other day?
It's possible, but it could also be the hedgehog that kidnapped her, too.
I don't think it was the other hedgehog, Sonic. Princess Celestia said she sensed alicorn magic when you guys felt that power surge. We know Sonia is part alicorn like you and Manic. I think Knuckles might be onto something here, bro. I mean, think about it, Sonic. It does make sense. You even said it yourself that you felt this power when we were kids on Mobius.
Yeah, I did, but this can't possibly be Sonia that I sensed. It was too powerful, even for her. Meanwhile, Mirror Realm, Human Equestria. King Aeon is sitting at the dining room table with 2 table settings. The doors to the dining room open as 2 guards escort Sunset Shimmer in. Guards, those shackles won't be necessary. Please remove them and leave us to have some privacy. The guards follow Aeon's orders and free Sunset Shimmer from her shackles. They leave the room. I suppose I should be grateful. No need for hostilities, my dear. Please have a seat and enjoy a meal as my guest. Well, it's about time I get treated as an esteemed guest. You're still my prisoner, technically, but I'd be willing to move you out of that dungeon if you agree to be cordial and obedient to my wishes. In time, my dear, you'll come to find that I'm not a complete scoundrel. One can only hope. It would be a complete waste if a hunk like you was a total jerk. Sunset takes Aeon up on his offer and sits next to him. Hunk, huh? See, 2 minutes out of that dungeon and already you're warming up to me. Sunset rolls her eyes. I'm King Aeon, and you are? Sunset Shimmer blushing. Sunset Shimmer. A beautiful name that befits such a gorgeous girl. So, Sunset Shimmer, why did you trespass into my castle? I traveled here from a different dimension, and that statue out in front of your castle is the portal that links this world to the world in which I come from. The statue wasn't in its normal place in front of Canterlot High, and that's when I noticed your overcompensating castle. I decided to be curious, all right? I can assure you, I'm definitely not overcompensating. Maybe one day I'll show you. Oh, please. I'm not going to be that easy, Aeon, no matter how incredibly handsome you are. So you're a pony from the ancient equestrian empire of my home planet, Mobius. Wait, you're from Mobius too? How did you manage to wind up here? You mean Sonia and I aren't the only 2 Mobians that travel to this planet? Nope, a bunch of other Mobians traveled here too. I think they used the Chaos Emeralds to come here because their planet was destroyed.
Damn it. The Chaos Emeralds are on this planet. This could ruin everything. When does that portal reopen?
It reopens in 24 days.
Now everything is becoming clear as to how I wound up in this hellhole of a dimension. Sonia and I must have traveled to Equestria during the time in which this loophole was open. We've been trapped here for... Well, I don't know what your planet's calendar is like, but in Mobius time, we've been here 4 years.
Bummer.
Tell me about it. My powers don't work in this place, because when I arrived in this loophole of your planet, I was changed into a useless human.
Oh, boo-hoo. You should see my power when I'm on the other side. I'm a really powerful unicorn pony. In fact, you're pretty lucky I'm a human right now. So, I'll assume you and this Sonia are together. Where is she, anyway? I'm sure she wouldn't approve of our so-called dinner date.
I sent Sonia to your world. She's tying up the loose ends that need to be dealt with so I can begin my reign over Equestria. Sonia and I are not romantically involved. We're simply partners, and that's all. So, you have no reason to care what Sonia thinks about our dinner together.
So, what are your plans for me?
I haven't decided what I'm doing with you, my dear. I'd have to say I've enjoyed your company this evening. After dinner, I'll have my guests escort you to your room. You are no longer my prisoner, and you're free to leave if you choose to do so. However, I hope you decide to stick around and get to know me better.
Well, I'll stay tonight, and if I enjoy myself, I may choose to stay another. But first, where's my book?
Aeon holds up the diary of Princess Soletta. Oh, you mean this book? The one with all the historical evidence that proves that your race, the Equestrians, once called Mobius home.
Yes. May I please have it back? There are a lot of horrible secrets in that diary.
I know. This diary only confirms what I already knew about the Crystal Empire, and I also learned some things that I didn't already know prior. Honestly, I have no use for this book, and it sounds like you do. Looks like I have some collateral to convince you to stay in my castle longer.
So I am still your prisoner after all?
Of course not. You're free to leave at any time, but if you ever want this diary back, you'll stay for a while, and once I've felt you've earned it, I'll give it back to you.
Sunset Shimmer gives Aeon a dirty look. Meanwhile, back in Equestria, the Crystal Palace. Princess Twilight Sparkle and Shadow walk over to Starlight Glimmer and Will Atkinson. Twilight, Shadow! Hi, Starlight. How have you been? Honestly, things have been going well for me. I'm really sorry about what happened to your brother. He was an excellent prince and a very noble stallion. Thanks, Starlight. Shadow embraces Starlight.
It's good to see you, Starlight. You look beautiful tonight. I'm glad you found happiness again after all the heartache we went through. I truly am sorry for the pain I put you through.
I've already forgiven you, Shadow, but thanks. I do appreciate it. Oh, where are my manners? This is my boyfriend, Will Atkinson. Will, this is my friend, Princess Twilight Sparkle, and her boyfriend, Shadow. Wow, I'm rather starstruck to meet you, Will. I'm a really big fan of your work. Thanks, Your Highness. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Starlight has told me a lot about you two. Unfortunately, not all of it is good. No, not all of it was. Will knows our history, Twilight, but we are mending fences, and at the end of the day, I'm actually happy right now. I am encouraged to hear you say that, Starlight, because I came over here to ask you if you'd given any thought about coming back and working at my side again. I have something different planned for you this time. This was going to be Sunset Shimmer's role, but she's vanished, and I could definitely use some help. Yeah, it's rather ironic you bring that up, because I've been recently toying with the notion of asking you for my old job back. I really miss our friendship, Twilight. I'm glad I didn't ruin everything by trying to kill you a couple of months back. You went through hell, Starlight, and finding out Shadow was in love with me only made things worse for you. I can't blame you for lashing out the way you did. I'm sorry for hurting you, Starlight. The truth is that Will has helped me tremendously over the past couple of months. If it weren't for him, I think Sunset and I would still be trying to kill you.
Speaking of Sunset Shimmer, do you know where she is, Starlight?
She went back through the mirror portal. She's back in human Equestria again.
Mirror portal? Human Equestria?
It's a space-time loophole that exists on our planet, and it's only accessible on the night of the 30th moon. The portal to this alternate realm of Equestria sits in this very palace, as a matter of fact, inside of a magical mirror. Why in Equestria did she go back there? I'm not quite sure, other than her saying she had unfinished business to tend to, and that she had to find herself again. Princess Celestia and Princess Luna walk over. My apologies for interrupting your evening, but Luna and I request Will Atkinson's presence alone. Is everything all right, Your Majesty? Yes, at least for the moment. Luna and I have some questions to ask him, as I stated. It's a private matter. Everything is going to be fine, Starlight. Lead the way, Your Majesty. Come, Luna, we will discuss our matter upstairs in Princess Cadence's chamber. Princess Celestia leads Princess Luna and Will up to Princess Cadence's chamber. Starlight looks concerned as Will walks away with Princesses Celestia and Luna. Is everything all right, Starlight? I hope so. Last week, while we were at the celebration party in Canterlot, Will told me he and Princess Celestia aren't very fond of one another because she denied Will of becoming a royal when he was a child. Do you have any idea as to why Princess Celestia wants to speak to him privately? Well, I don't know all the details. What I do know is that whatever the issue is, it pertains to Will's cutie mark. His cutie mark? Will's cutie mark is the mark of Herc, the god of power. What? That can't be possible, can it? It's true, Starlight. I even looked it up myself. Will was born with the mark of Herc, suggesting he was chosen by the gods to have substantial power. Princess Celestia denied Will his rightful place amongst the royalty because his ancestor was also born with the mark of Herc. Will's ancestor, Nightshade, used his power for evil, so Princess Celestia used the elements of harmony to turn him to stone. Princess Celestia felt that Will was a threat because of it, and that's why she refused to crown him a prince. That's all I know of the story so far. But Will isn't evil. Even still, Princess Celestia believes that Will has the potential to be the most powerful pony on the planet. She doesn't want to take a chance of Will using his power for evil like his ancestor Nightshade did. Starlight, where are you going? I have to go up there and defend Will. Starlight, you heard Princess Celestia. This is a private matter. I am not going to allow Princess Celestia to treat Will like he's some sort of evil monster, not after everything he's done for me. Thanks for telling me what you know, Twilight. I'll stop by your castle next week so we can finish our discussion about me coming back to work for you again. Starlight begins walking away. Starlight!
Let her go, Twilight. Princess Celestia is in the wrong here. She's grasping at straws by interrogating Will to find the answers as to the power we sensed the other night.
Can any pony blame her? That power was horrifying.
It was, but we need to remember what Sonic said about feeling this power on Mobius when he was a child. If we're going to obtain any answers of who this mysterious alicorn power belongs to, then it's going to come from Sonic's memories.
Meanwhile, Princess Celestia, Princess Luna, and Will have reached Princess Cadence's chamber. Just as they are about to enter, Starlight rushes in to intervene. Will, wait! Starlight? I told you this was a private discussion, Starlight Glimmer. I'm sorry for not respecting your wishes, Your Majesty, but I won't allow you to treat Will as if he's some sort of evil, power-hungry tyrant. I can see that you've spoken to Twilight. Very well, Starlight. You may join our conversation. In all honesty, it's something you should be aware of, especially if you're going to be romantically involved with him. They enter Princess Cadence's chamber and lock the doors. Twilight told me about Will's cutie mark and the significance behind it, but Will is not the one... But Will is the one who told me about how you denied him a place amongst the royalty because you thought he would turn out to be evil, just like his ancestor Nightshade. I can assure you with all confidence that Will is the exact opposite of what you fear he is. You don't understand the severity of this situation, Starlight. The cutie mark that adorns Will's flank is no ordinary cutie mark. Will was marked by the god of power, Herc, giving him the ability to obtain extraordinary power, much like his ancestor Nightshade, who chose to use that power for evil. I could not condone an action of allowing Will to learn how to yield that power, or become a royal for that matter. I made that mistake with Nightshade. I am nothing like him. You would have learned that for yourself had you given me the chance to show you. I gave Nightshade that chance. He was a well-mannered, sweet, and humble stallion, just like you, Will. I trained him how to use his alicorn abilities, and over time, I made him a prince. I wasn't aware Nightshade was secretly in love with me, and when I didn't reciprocate the same feelings for him, he exploded into a fit of rage and power. The noble prince I trained had turned into a raging beast. I could not stop him with my own powers. Luckily enough, Nightshade could not control his power, and while he was distracted killing my guards, I used my magic to retrieve the elements of harmony. I turned your ancestor to stone. You may not be Nightshade, Will, but I will not ever give you the opportunity to obtain the kind of power you're capable of. I felt your power last week when you exploded with rage, right here in the Crystal Empire. Wait, what are you talking about? I wasn't here in the Crystal Empire. Oh my. Sorry, guys. What are you talking about? I wasn't here in the Crystal Empire last week. In fact, this is the first time I've been in the Crystal Empire since my play ended, and that was over a year ago. Don't play games with me, Will Atkinson. The power Luna and I sensed came from an alicorn with a power as great as Nightshade's. As a matter of fact, it exceeded his power. Only an alicorn with the mark of Herc is capable of a power like that. We felt Will's power all the way from Sweet Apple Acres during the Chaos Emerald's unification ceremony. I swear on my life, there's no way the power you sensed came from Will. And how do you know? Because I was right here in this room attempting to convince Sunset Shimmer to stay in Equestria and not enter the mirror portal that night. Will stayed home to catch up on writing his next production. After Sunset entered the mirror portal, I teleported back to Will's house. We spent the night together, so there's no way Will was the alicorn you sensed. Then my worst fears have come to fruition. The Triad of Power has finally arrived in Equestria. I have to talk to Sonic. Princess Celestia abruptly ends the conversation and exits Princess Cadence's chamber to find Sonic. Celestia! Princess Luna follows behind her, leaving Will alone with Starlight. Thanks for defending me, Starlight. I know what kind of stallion you are, Will. I know you're nothing like Nightshade. You saved me from darkness and restored love into my heart. I know you're not capable of doing evil. I love you. Will takes Starlight into his embrace and kisses her gently. I love you too, Starlight. Sonia is hovering outside the palace, staring at Will through the window. Sonia notices Will's cutie mark. That's one mark of Herc found. Now to meet his acquaintance. Meanwhile, back downstairs, Sonic and Rainbow Dash are talking with Fluttershy and Tails. So is Lily Blossom angry with me for not selling the Cloud Dominium to her? No, she's actually relieved that you backed out of the deal. She loved the Cloud Dominium, but she told me that house was too big for her. She is still planning on moving to Ponyville, right, Fluttershy? Yes, after her lease is up on her Manhattan apartment, of course. Her lease is up in 2 months, and I couldn't be more excited. She's going to stay with us for a while, Tails, until she finds a place of her own in Ponyville. That'll be cool having her around. Totally! You finally get some quality time with your sister, and it's going to be awesome having my sports agent right there in Ponyville. Yeah, Dash's rookie season starts in a couple of months. I can't wait to see my wife in action playing Pegasus Ball. Think about this too, Dashy. We love playing the PBL video game together. Just think, you'll be in the next PBL video game that comes out. Oh my gosh, that's so true. I never thought about that until now. I'm totally going to be 20% cooler once that happens. Are you getting nervous about it yet? A little bit, but I think it's more excitement at this point. That reminds me, you're starting your new career too. How are you feeling about working with Rarity in fashion? Definitely nervous. I mean, I don't know the first thing about fashion other than knowing how to sew. I'm going to have to know more than that if I'm going to be a successful personal assistant to Rarity. I think you're going to do great. Yeah, you might not know much about fashion now. I'm sure Rarity is going to help you out in that department. Yeah, there's no way Rarity is going to let you fail. Rarity is becoming huge in the fashion world. She can't afford to have you fail, Fluttershy. Princess Celestia, Princess Luna. Princesses Celestia and Luna walk over. My sincere apologies for interrupting your conversation.